Yeah.
Okay.
All right, friends. So we're up to Ois. We're in the middle of Ois Bays, and this is quite dense. So what do we finished it? We finished the first paragraph. We did. We're up to Bira Inyan on page 151. So what is the Rebbe explaining here? Yehei Shmei Rabba. So the avodah is to draw into shame the name Malchus, as Malchus is the final step in the creative process. It's the investure of Hashem in creation, the 10 utterances. So the avodah is to draw into shame Rabba, the great name, which overall means a level of Elikus that's beyond Hishtalshalos. And that's what the Maimer is explaining layer by layer, nuance by nuance, level by level. We need to appreciate that the whole Maimer can be, expressed in a single paragraph, just the bottom line. But it's not about simply the bottom line. Part of the bottom line, dafke, is to understand. Hashem wants us to understand the way He, Kavayochel, works, the way He expresses Himself in all of the nuance and what we achieve through Avodah. So it's dafke in all of this nuance and detail and effort to understand the essence of the light itself, the etzem, the spashtus of the earth. The more we understand, the more intimate is our relationship with Hashem. A true relationship is a meeting of minds and hearts. Of course, the bottom line is your behavior, but that's not enough. The relationship has to be total. So before we go further, I'm just reminded of a little story. I'm pretty sure it's Tzemach Tzedek. Someone asked him once, it's very apropos for what we got to learn now. Rebbe, what's the point of us learning Chassidus? At the end of the day, we don't really understand. Because we're talking about abstractions and levels of Elikus. We're trying to find parallels within our own human existence. At the end of the day, our understanding is a parallel. It's called Yedias Hametzias. We learn about things, but Yedias Samhus, we need to grasp it. We don't experience it, we don't see it, so what's the point? And of course, many answers why, critical answers why we need to learn Chassidus. One of the answers, probably that Tzemach Tzedek said, was the aha. What's the aha? So he gave an example. Someone is overhearing a conversation a very important conversation happening behind a wall. And all he's getting is snippets of the conversation, a word here and a word there. He's trying to understand and doesn't. But then when the conversation is shared with him, aha, so that's what it meant, and that's what it meant, and that's what it meant. So Mashiach will come, so we'll have the aha. Now you might ask, so what? You will have the aha, you won't have the aha, what difference does that make? The aha makes a big difference. The aha is that which you toiled for and struggled, and then when you finally understand, so that's what it means, that's what it is. The appreciation is immeasurably greater, much more bepnimius, than if the whole thing is completely novel and no clue to even know it existed, and then being introduced to an experience, a wonderful experience. But if you've toiled and read about it and learned, it's in your life aspiration, and then you get there and you experience it, it's an entirely different experience. Pnimi is the internalized experience. So I'm sharing this with you because as we're going to learn further, each one of us will understand the Maimer on his or her level. And you might be questioning, why am I even bothering with this? But whatever you understand, now that's going to contribute then. And now also, aside from then, the aha. Now that the mind is busy trying to understand the way the Eibishter relates to us, could there be a greater, more worthy endeavor, whether you fully grasp or not? That's what you're busy with. The mind is filled with the likus, etzem, spashtus, all the levels we're going to learn. What could be greater? What greater privilege? All right, that's the introduction. Yeah, so what did we learn now, concluding yesterday's Nakuda? So we say in davening that you are the one, Ad Shalai Nivra, no, this is not said in davening, but Ad Shalai Nivra Ha'ilam, before the world was created. And we explained that to mean from the Avodas HaKodesh, we don't just mean Bria and lower. We mean Atzilus and lower. So higher than Atzilus, Hayahu Ushmei Bilvad. Pre-Atzilus, because Atzilus is also, as explained, part of Nivra at the end of the day, because of the Kalim, the Gvul, the relatively hardcore Gvul of Atzilus. So before creation includes even that. So what's the statement saying? That before Atzilus, higher than Atzilus, pre-Tzimtzum in other words, what is? Hu Ushmei Bilvad, he and his name alone, nothing else. And what does that mean? So first level, it means he goes on Atzmos and Shmei, his Oir. In more detail, there are two levels of the Oir. Who is the etzem of the Oir, the essence of the light? This is the language now, this physical language, essence of light. And Shmei is the manifested light. Clear? We addressed this yesterday. So what is this statement of Pirkei Rabbi Elazar saying? That Pri-Atzilus, so he and his name are all one. Because how did he define Hu Ushmai? At the level of Hu, which is the Etzem Ha'Oir, there's infinite spheres. The level of Shmai, that's already an articulated will. That's where the will already is articulated and manifest. God wants 10 and not 11 and not 10 and not 9. In fact, the whole notion of numbers altogether emerges really at the level of the Alei Sadotz and the level of Shmai. Before that, it's used the word, infinite spheres. We don't mean even in numbers. We don't mean infinite numbers, whatever that means. But infinite numbers are still made up of individual parts. Akoponim, it's beyond that too. But the Chiddush, the statement now, therefore, in conclusion is that even the level of Shmoi, even the level where God is articulated, the Oir in general, the Etzem Oir, the Spashtus Oir, the Etzem Oir, which is infinite spheres, and the Spashtus Oir, which is the Aliyas HaRotzen, where arises in his will, that it should be this way and not another way, 10 and not 9 and not 11, to quote the Sefer Yetzirah. So then, Pri-Atzilus, it's all bound up with him, completely nullified to him. There's no three things: God and the essence of his light and the manifestation of his light, or God and infinite spheres, and then God the will for a limited number of spheres. It's not three things. It's all one, intrinsically bound up in absolute oneness. Now we're going to explain that a little bit. Okay, that was the intro. We're clear? In the geographical, technical introduction. Yeah. Well, Bira Ingen, understand this, Yuvan, Hashem. So the Alter Rebbe explains a name. We're talking about Hashem's name. There's the classic name, and there's the great name. What is name? Even though in general, as we said yesterday, a name is the idea of light. What's a name? A name is required for somebody else to identify and refer to you. What is light? Light means revelation to outside of self, to otherness. So in general, it's the idea of a name. In general, light, Oir, and shame are synonymous. That's in general. However, they do not match up absolutely. They don't parallel absolutely. Why so? Now, it comes to praise. When you praise someone, you say that he's a chacham, he's wise, a chassid, or pious. So, what's the purpose of this? And this is all based on that the Zohar Reb Shimon Yochai was praised by his Talmidim with these wonderful praises. And the question is, what's the point? This is stroking his ego, praising him. What is the Indian here? The Indian is when the outsider compliments or praises you with chachma, with this whatever quality they're referring to, that stirs it. So here they're calling you by your name. what's the name over here? This is not your name. This is the description, but it's a word. Calling you a chacham or a chesed. So even before you are so praised, even before, as a result of the praise, this elicits this and summons it forth, nonetheless, these faculties of wisdom or kindness that you're being praised with, they existed within the person. He is a chacham and is a baal chesed. But these properties of chacham or chesed, as the case may be, exist in a very potential, essential way. So the name, there's different levels of name. Chacham and chesed, baal chesed or chacham, which is not unique to this individual person, but still a name nonetheless, it's a title. So these properties certainly exist within the person even before he's called them. But your name, your external name, Yankel, Moishe, you can't say that he had this name there before. Not even this potential transcendent way. Quite literally, the person's given his name. It's imposed on him. So a name, for us, is completely extraneous to the person himself. Again, in a desert island, you don't need a name. But a desert island, you're still a chacham, you might still be a kind person, that's your disposition, even if nobody calls you that and stirs it. Nonetheless, by a person, the fact is that even though the name is given to you at the person's bris, or whatever the case, the female, whenever the name is given, it actually is connected to the person. Even though it's externally, it's just a name that the parents confer based on whatever considerations they might have. It is connected to the person. You see, it's when you call a person by his name, that's when he awakens. You may be referring here to when a person is in a fainted state and all else fails, so you whisper his or her Jewish name in the person's ear, and this arouses the person. The soul is withdrawn, and the name summons the soul back into the body. But only works if you call him or her by their personal name. If you call them some other name, you don't respond. As external as a name is, it still has a connection to the person. It's somehow bound up with this person. As we all know, the parents, when they give a name, unbeknownst to them, they're engaging, or they are the vehicle for some kind of divine inspiration. For how would they know which soul this child possesses? Because the name are the letters that describe, or it's the letters are the interface between the soul and the guf. How would they know? Divine providence. At any rate, the name is connected on some level to the person. Now, what about Hashem's name? But Hashem's name, whatever level that is, the various names of God, Yudke, Vavke, Yalikim, etc., in such a way, they don't exist at all before God has decided to express them. They in no way have an intrinsic connection in the sense that God is intrinsically this or the other. Yud Kei Vav Kei Elikim Kei, all the 7 names that we have for Hashem, they're not intrinsic to his essential being. They are all ways he has chosen to express himself. What are they? This pure potential. And potential is not something you can point to as existing, having some kind of existence in addition to the essential person. It's bound up with the person inseparably. Potential is not something other that you can separate from the essence of the person. Likewise, applying to Hashem, these names are not, you can't identify them individually within God, because the names exist in potential. It could be anything. It goes on to say that the potential to manifest this way, and the potential for another faculty, at the potential level, they're all equal. What he's pointing to is in the names, there's higher names and lower names as they manifest. But the potential to produce the names is equal. and you can manifest in endless ways, or no ways at all. So the essence of Hashem is nimna nimnois, which means withheld from the withheld, or beyond beyond. It's a lashon interesting from the Rashba, footnote 24. It's a lashon in Nigla, the Rashba, in one of his Shalos Teshuvos, that the infinite we call beyond us. But Atzmos essence is beyond infinite. And there, in Atzmos, it's the potential for everything and nothing, and it's all equal. No small feat or greater revelation, smaller revelation, concealment, tzimtzum, oir, gvul, bli gvul, gvul, finite, infinite, all of it is equal there. So that's what a name means, but concluded. What's the conclusion of our discussion? Before Atzilus Koydem HaTzimtzum, he and his name alone. What does it mean? Concluding now, this is the meaning that pre-Tzimtzum, what is there, as it were. He and his name alone, even the level of name, which name on some level implies otherness, on some level intrinsic in name is somebody else is going to be referring to you this way. It's already allowing for, on some level, some theoretical level, but nonetheless on some level, the existence of otherness. Nonetheless, it's completely one with him, because it's merely the potential that God has were he to manifest his actual desire to give rise to otherness. But at this point, it's complete potential, and showing bilvad, it's meaning bilvad, there's nothing still other than he and his name, thoroughly united, inseparably. And when we say Shmai, we mean not only the Etzem Ha'oyer, but the Ispashtus Ha'oyer. Even as God has in his will articulated that he wants 10 Sfiras, he wants a particular divine system, but it exists pre-Tzimtzum. It's in a way of Shmai. It's in a way of total unity with him. There's no, the observer would observe this. He doesn't see any otherness at all. What does he see? He sees God's potential to create 10 Sfiras. Yeah, but at that level, not limited to 10 or anything, even though the 10 existed. It's a big chidush here, which the mind needs to grasp of here. What did we say before? We said before that in drawing distinction between the Etzem Ha'oyer and the Oyer. Remember? The Etzem Ha'oyer is Sfiras and Ketz. But the Ispashtus Ha'oyer is already the Aliyas HaRotzen, where God is articulating. So let's just reframe that. What's going on? There's God. And then the first stage in the whole process of creation is God decides to express within self, or within self, something called will. I want. Now, if you say the word I want, that's like, oh, you want, it's already something that is outside. A want is already some kind of pursuit on some level. So God chooses to express this thing called Rotz. So that's purely, again, the words are all relative, purely infinite, and hence want what? Could want anything beyond their comprehension totally. So there it's Sfiras ein Ketz. That want can manifest itself endlessly. That's the Sfiras ein Ketz. Then in the next stage, God says, you know what I've decided to want? This is all internal conversation, as it were. I want 10 Sfiras. I want a hardcore number. 10, not 9, not 11. Because that's going to be the template down the road through the whole creative process of a physical, finite universe and physical world. It's made up of 10 components, which will be produced by 10 utterances, malchus, etc. A whole elaborate process is going to follow from here. But it all starts with the Aliyas HaRotzen, where this will, what do I want? I want 10 Sfiras. Like, what he's saying here is, Hu u'shmei bilvat. Even there, where he's articulated in his will a level of shmoi, he's articulated what? 10 Sfiras, it's still thoroughly united with him, which in simple language means that the observer could observe this, Kevayochel. You're not seeing otherness, it's pure Eibishter, and he's not compromised by the fact that he wants a specific thing of 10 Sfiras. In that articulation of 10 Sfiras, his being is not compromised. Oh, you need 10 Sfiras, not something else. You know, that's a huge limitation. If I want this, first of all, you want something, it's already, what do you mean you want? Doesn't that imply that if you don't get it, you're missing something? Huge limitations are implicit, are already raised. Eyebrows are raised already here. You want? What does it mean you want? How does a perfect God want? And then what does he want? 10 Sfiras? You want something finite? So externally, one would think that that is like, you know, God's compromising himself, or at least compromising his expression. No. There at the level of the viewer, if there can't be a viewer because we'd be bottled of Metzias, but in theory, we'd be dissolved out of all sense of self. So there'd be nobody entertaining, no conscious entertaining this. But we're just speaking in terms that we can appreciate it. The viewer would appreciate there's no compromise on God. Nimna nimnois. You're beyond, and you've chosen this, but this choice of will and 10, no way compromises you. Free choice. Free means of all consideration, not because of the value of it, not because you need, but your pure choice. You follow this? Friends, a little bit of a nod.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we go further. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just, I have a question.
Yes, Rabbi.
Yeah. Okay. Ask it. You may have to text it to me, but let me see. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying a name. So obviously he chose. Everything was his choice. But you're making the comparison at the beginning about us, that the name is intrinsic, and I see that comparison. I don't see how one is a mashal for the other.
It's contrasting. The whole point was to contrast the difference. That for us, the name is intrinsic, and for God, it's not.
Okay.
Even though it's a contrast, even though we use the term name, but he has to make clear the difference. The name for us is nonetheless still somehow hardwired in us on some level. On some level, it's intrinsic to us, even though externally it's just given to us and it's not, it's disconnected from the essential self. But really, it isn't. But for Hashem, he's saying the name is, there's no hardwired, God forbid, within God on any level. And as I'm trying to explain here, the name is all part of his decision to express himself, and that decision in no way compromises him as we experience it at the core level. Because what are we seeing there? If we would, in theory, be there, we would simply see, God's free decision to express himself this way. That expression does not compromise him, even though it is an articulated expression. First, it's infinite spheres, and then it's finite spheres. Because externally, again, this is huge compromise. You've gone from God to language and spheres and numbers. So that expression in the end would be, where's God there? The answer is, inish taushelus. You can ask that question because there's concealment. But there's no such concealment. Pre-tzimtzum, there, the theoretical viewer would not be lost on him that this is just all the way he's expressing himself, and therefore it's him. Since he decided to express himself in 10 spheres is him, even though 10 spheres don't contain him. Now the big news, friends, is that Yehei Shmei Rabbah, we have to reveal that here in Elam Hazeh. La'olam, la'olmi al-maya yizborach. I won't add the word yizborach. That by Chassidim, Sfardim add the word yizborach. This is not dissimilar to the following. The essential quote, most famous quote of all Chassidus is the Medrash Tanchuma. Parshas Nosei, right? Last week's parsha, that the Savak is Baruch Aliyas Adira B'Tachtonim. So the lashon there is, I just quoted, God desired to have unto him Dira B'Tachtonim. The Rebbe Rashab in Semach Vav added the word Yisborach, blessed be he. Simply, he's being nice and polite. He's referring to Hashem, so he's blessing him, praising him. The Rebbe explained by adding the word Yisbarich, the word Baruch means to draw down. So Chassidus Chabad is like drawing this down into consciousness, into the world. So when we say Kaddish, Eish Mirabba, we dafka add the word Yisbarich, with Berech again, to draw down, that the Shmei Rabba be drawn down, La'olam, La'olmei, Al-Maya, which is the three Elimis, Bri Yitzir Asiyah, into where? Into this world. So in other words, what I'm saying is the whole kavanah is that this truth that is not lost, is absolutely transparent and revealed, lifnei hatzimtzum. And that's an easy truth to know because it's all the potential there. There's no actual articulation. There's no separation. It's all within him. The whole chiddush is to reveal that after there's an actual creation of ishtalshalus and a physical world. And from our perspective, as you're learning Yeshayach and Emunah, there's a whole ladder of divinity, closer and further, and levels and malachim. And then you get down to this world, and it's a physical goof. And it's finite. And not only is it physical, this is a world that can ignore and defy God. The 10 sins now that Moishe Rabbeinu is pleading God after, Adonai, Inatsuni. And that it's in this world that we should reveal the Shmei Rabba. That this world, you and I, this is the ultimate objective, that notwithstanding the reality on the one hand of our actual creation, 10 spheres and 10 Maimoris that produce a physical, hardcore world, we all experience this as completely united thoroughly with God. And what is all this? Nothing other than God's decision that it be. So its essence is all a likus. There's no independence at all. This is the theme of the Shari Yichud Ve'emun.
So Rabbi New, good morning.
Yeah.
Is so then
someone's asking here. You don't hear it. Go ahead, Bracha.
Halacha being called Ratzon Elyon is what you're speaking about in terms of the Ratzon Elyon of Hashem to begin with?
No, that's part of it. The Ratzon Elyon is Dira B'tachton, to create this world down here. This world should be a Dira. That's the Ratzon
Right,
Elyon.
so Halacha being down here in detail.
So therefore, Torah mitzvah is given dafka down here. Whatever, everything, all of God himself is invested and access dafka down here.
All right.
Yeah. Question? I'll repeat your question.
Not that the shmoi is an intrinsic part of the hoop. You could think that the shmoi
It's about us or God now. Yeah.
That the shmoi could be an intrinsic part of the hoop. Think rather it's like the shmoi is with the hoop such that it's like almost irrelevant because it's in the context of
not so much irrelevant that even at the level of shmoi where he's articulated, he wants 10 spheres. So there's already this whole otherness and a whole system. Yet at the level pre-tzimtzum, it's all him. And again, it just comes down to a simple sentence. So what is it? It is the consequence of his will. So of him. Even his will is a consequence of him or an expression of him.
It's all really there pre-tzimtzum.
At pre-tzimtzum, there's no avodah to know that.
Right, I'm saying, but it's all really there in this potential state. So why are we focusing on the name?
That's what the name means.
So saying that the name symbolizing otherness.
The name is that level where he articulates 10 spheres. He wants otherness. He wants to be known, called, referred to by other. The will is articulated there. So obviously, as the will is articulated there, of course it's one with him. That goes without saying. It's obvious. It's all within him, and it's pure potential, and it's not separate. You can't give it any separate from separate identity apart from him. The whole avodah is to reveal that truth in a world where, in its own experience, it is separate, and to reveal that truth. That's Yehi Shmei Rabba. That's the whole avodah of a Yid. As Bracha was saying, which Torah mitzvahs were given, Mesilas Nefesh, and all the things we have to do to reveal it.
So to wrap up, would you say that all these ideas are all only in Yochelis, and Yochelis itself is totally bound, and it doesn't imply any otherness.
Yeah, at the level lifnei hatzimtzum, there's no avodah for that. If we would go to the travel agent and get a trip to lifnei hatzimtzum, you wouldn't need any Maimorim to explain anything. All you see is the Eibishter.
You wouldn't see.
That's it. And you'll also see the articulated will, the Bligvul will, the Svidus Enket, and you would see the articulated will for the Svidus, but would not be lost on the viewer that this is all just the Eibishter deciding to express all this. So in that expression, the expression would not be a distraction in any way, or have any independent reality other than God expressing himself. No avodah for that.
So we're basically
that's the way it is.
So the bottom line is yeah.
So that's this is the reality, the emes. The truth is revealed there. Revealed there. Why should it not be? All avodah is to reveal that truth in this world.
Shuv.
We exist. Huh?
Shuv, not Ratzu. Everything down here.
No, it needs Ratzu, Shuv, body, whatever. There's all kinds of avodas that need it. You need the Ratzu too. You need, first of all, to break out of the Agbola and then to recognize that the Agbola is part of the Ratzu. You need both, back and forth. It is, it isn't. Moti v'lei moti. Listen, Gans Chassidus is now, addresses the avodah. There's endless expressions of it all. But to bring it down simply, our avodah is to reveal the emes here, notwithstanding this world of sheker, division, separateness, ego, not concealment, and so on. To draw on the Shmei Rabbah down here, we are a product of Stam Shmei, Malchus, which conceals. That's all avodah, to create a world of concealment, of hell and vehester. That's what classic Malchus does, Malchus Datzilus. Our job is to reveal in Malchus Datzilus Shmei Rabbah, as Malchus Datzilus is rooted in Atmos. Okay, to be continued further. Let's finish the next.
Finish the ice.
You didn't finish the ice.
Finish it.
Sorry?
Finish it.
Last sentence. What does it start with?
We're up to this.
And this is what we mean. Pre-tzimtzum is hu shmei b'levad, shegam b'china shmei k'moi shoyim tzimtzum. The level of shmei, but the way it is lifnei tzimtzum, and shmei, as we said, is articulated. I want 10 svidus. B'chinas achtus pshuta. It's one with Hashem she'im b'levad. It's God alone. Let's continue. What's the whole avodah? That Shmei Rabbah, the great name. Great meaning here as it is one with Atzmos and Mahus Lifnei HaTzimtzum. Shinyan Shmei HaGodol, the great name, as opposed to classic or ordinary name, which is Malchus Datzilus. So that B'chinas Hu Shmei B'levad, this level where God's absolute unity is expressed, notwithstanding his articulated will on the two levels with it, we identified, that Yumshach la'olam la'ol me'al maya should be drawn down into the Olam Yigdal Shaloshim Kolos Olam is biyah. That's why there's 3 words here: Olam la'ol me'al maya. Hein biyah protim, the specific biyah, which is classic biyah brit sirasiya. The hein biyah klolim, as we address that tomorrow, which we talked about the more general big picture of biyah. And that's the whole point. Having a dwelling place down here, as we said, the end of Eis Aleph. Continue the Beis Hashem tomorrow.
Yashar Koyach.